I thought I had made it in America. Until I lost everything in 1 week. He remembered the exact moment I thought I had finally made it. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a celebration. No one was clapping. No one even noticed. But for me, it meant everything. I was standing in my apartment. Keys in my hand, looking around at a place that, for the first time in my life, felt like mine. Not borrowed. Not temporary. Not something I could lose overnight, or at least that's what I believed. My name is Samuel Okoye, and I came to America with nothing. No connections, no safety net. No backup plan, just a suitcase and a promise I made to myself that I wouldn't fail here. I had seen too much before I got there. Too many people try and return with nothing. Too many stories that ended quietly, with disappointment, with shame, with silence. I refused to be one of them. So when I arrived, I didn't waste time. I worked hard. Long hours. Jobs no one wanted. Shifts people avoided. Anything that paid. Anything that moved me forward. At first, it was survival. Small room, shared space. No privacy, barely any sleep. Every dollar mattered. Every expense was calculated. Every mistake felt dangerous, but I accepted it because I believed something. If I just keep going, it will get better. And slowly, it did. I found a more stable job. Warehouse work. Nothing glamorous. But steady. Predictable. Enough to breathe a little. I moved out of that shared space. Got my own small apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was quiet. It was mine. That mattered a lot. I remember the first night I slept there. No noise. No one else in the room. Just silence. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something close to peace. That's when I started believing it. I'm making it, not in a big, dramatic way, but in a real, grounded way. I had stability. Income. A routine. And more importantly, I had control. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building something. Slowly. Step by step. Month by month. Things improved. I started saving. Not much, but enough to feel progress. I bought small things for the apartment. A better bed, a table, a lamp, simple things. But each one felt like proof. Proof that I was moving forward. Proof that I wasn't stuck anymore. At work, I started standing out. Not because I was the best, but because I was consistent. Always there. Always focused. Always reliable. And people noticed that. Supervisors started trusting me more. Giving me more responsibility. Small leadership tasks. Nothing official, but enough to show I was being seen. That mattered too. Because when you come from nothing, being seen feels like progress. I started thinking bigger. Not just about surviving. About growing. Advancing. Building a future. For the first time, I allowed myself to imagine it. A better job. More income. Maybe even bringing my family over one day. Helping them the way they helped me. That thought, it kept me going. Every long shift. Every tired morning. Every moment I wanted to stop. Because now, it wasn't just about me. It was about what I could become. Then came the week everything changed. But before that, everything felt stable. That's the part no one talks about. Before things fall apart, they usually feel secure. Normal. Predictable. Safe. And that's what makes the fall so brutal. Because you don't see it coming. It started with something small. A conversation at work. One of the supervisors pulled me aside. Nothing unusual. I had been called before for updates, tasks, adjustments. So I didn't think much of it. But this time, his tone was different. More serious. Less relaxed. "Samuel," he said, "we need to talk about something." I nodded. "Okay." He looked around for a second, then back at me. "There are going to be some changes here." I didn't react immediately, because in jobs like that, changes can mean a lot of things. Schedules, shifts, policies. So I just listened. "Companies restructuring," he continued. "Some positions might be affected." That's when something inside me shifted. Slightly. Not panic. But awareness. Because I had heard that word before. Restructuring. It never means something good for people at the bottom. Still, I stayed calm. "Am I affected?" I asked. He hesitated. Just for a second. But I saw it. "I don't know yet," he said. That was enough. Because uncertainty is where fear begins. I nodded. "Okay." And that was it. Conversation ended, but something had already changed. The rest of that day felt different. Same work. Same environment. But my mind wasn't in it, because now there was a possibility, a crack in the stability I had built. And when you've worked so hard to create something, even a small crack feels dangerous. That night, I went home and sat on my couch. Same apartment. Same space that once felt like victory. And for the first time, it didn't feel as solid, because I realized something. Everything I had built was more fragile than I thought. Still, I tried to stay logical. It's probably nothing. Maybe just small changes. You've been doing well. That's how we protect ourselves. We try to stay calm, rational. But deep down, something was already shifting. The next day, things felt tense at work. People whispering, small groups talking quietly, rumors starting. That's how it always happens. No clear information. Just uncertainty spreading. And uncertainty, it spreads fast. By the third day, it was official. People were being let go. Not everyone, but enough to create fear in everyone else. I watched co-workers pack their things. Faces serious, some angry, some silent, some pretending it didn't affect them, but it did. Because in places like that, everyone knows it could be them next. I kept working. Focused. Trying not to think about it, but it was impossible. Because now, the question was real. When will it be my turn? And then, it happened. It happened on a Friday. I remember because Fridays used to feel different. Lighter. Like the week was finally releasing its pressure. People talked more, moved slower, looked forward to something outside of work. But that Friday felt heavy from the moment I walked in. No one said it out loud. But everyone felt it. There was tension in the air. The kind you don't need to explain. You just know something is coming. I clocked in. Put on my gloves, started working, trying to stay focused, trying to act like everything was normal. But it wasn't. About an hour into my shift, I saw him, the supervisor. Walking toward me, that same look on his face. Serious. Controlled. And in that moment, I already knew. You can feel it before the words even come. Samuel, he said quietly. I took off my gloves slowly. Yeah. Can you come with me for a minute? I nodded. Didn't ask questions. Didn't resist. Just followed. Each step felt heavier than the last. We walked into a small office, closed door, a chair across from a desk. I had seen this room before. From the outside. Never from this side. Sit down, he said. I sat. He didn't look at me immediately, picked up a paper. Then finally spoke. I'm going to be direct with you. That sentence, it always comes before something you don't want to hear. Due to restructuring, we're reducing staff. And unfortunately, your position has been affected. There it was. Simple. Clean. Final. No long explanation. No emotional buildup. Just done. For a second, everything went quiet. Not the room. My mind, like it needed a moment to process what just happened. I nodded slowly. Not because I accepted it, because I didn't know what else to do. He kept talking. Something about final pay. Or process. But I wasn't really hearing it anymore. Because one thought had taken over everything. What happens now? I walked out of that office a different person than the one who walked in. Same clothes. Same face. But everything else shifted. I went back to my station, picked up my things. Slowly. Mechanically. People looked. Some avoided eye contact. Others gave that look. The one that says, I'm sorry, but I'm also glad it wasn't me. I didn't blame them. That's how it works. I walked out of the building. Just like that. No goodbye. No closure. One moment, I had stability. The next, I didn't. I stood outside for a few seconds. The same place I had walked into every day. Now, it felt different, like I didn't belong there anymore. Because I didn't. I took a deep breath and started walking. No plan. No destination. Just movement. Because standing still felt impossible. That night, I got home earlier than usual, dropped my keys on the table. Same sound as always, but this time, it echoed differently. Louder. Heavier. I sat on the couch, looked around the apartment. The same place that once felt like a win, now felt like a question. How long can I keep this? That Thought came fast. Automatic. Because when you lose income, everything becomes temporary again. Rent. Bills. Food. Time. Everything starts counting down. I grabbed my laptop. Opened my bank account. Numbers. Savings. Not much. Enough for a little time. Not enough for comfort. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, I felt fear. Real fear. Not stress, not worry, fear. Because I had seen this before. I had lived this before. Starting from nothing, struggling to survive. And the idea of going back to that, it hit hard. The next few days moved fast. Applications. Emails. Job searches. Anything I could find. I wasn't picky. I couldn't be. But something had changed. The market wasn't the same. More people looking. Less opportunities. Longer waits. Short replies. Or no replies at all. Each day without an answer. Added pressure. And pressure builds quickly when you don't have a backup. By the middle of the week, another problem hit. My car. It started making a noise. Strange at first. Then louder. Then unavoidable. I took it to a mechanic. Waited. Listened. Hoping it was something small. It wasn't. Transmission issue, he said. Expensive. Too expensive. I stood there in silence. Because now, it wasn't just one problem. It was to no job. And a broken car. And in a place like that, you need a car. I asked the question anyway. How much? He told me. And I already knew the answer. I couldn't afford it. Not now. Maybe not for a while. So I made a decision. Not because I wanted to. Because I had to. I left the car there, walked out, and felt something I hadn't felt since my first days. In America. Like everything was slipping. Fast. To controlled. By the end of that week, I was in a position I hadn't been in for years. No income. No transportation. Bills approaching. Time running. And that apartment, the one I once stood in and thought I made it, was now at risk. All of it. Gone. In 1 week. Just like that. That's when it hit me. Not gradually. All at once. I didn't make it. I just reached a moment that felt like it. And now, it was gone. The silence in my apartment felt different after that week. Heavier. Not peaceful anymore. Not something I could rest in. It felt like pressure. Like every wall was reminding me of what I was about to lose. I woke up early the next morning. Not because I had somewhere to be. Because my mind wouldn't let me sleep. That's what happens when uncertainty takes over. Your body rests, but your thoughts don't. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time, looking at nothing, thinking about everything. Job. Money. Car. Rent. Time. Everything had turned into a countdown. I got up and went to the kitchen, opened the fridge. Not much inside. Closed it again. Not hungry. Just aware. That feeling kept growing. Awareness. Of everything I didn't have control over anymore. I grabbed my laptop, checked my email. Nothing. No responses. No updates. Just silence. And silence starts to feel like rejection after a while. I spent the whole morning applying again. Different jobs. Same process. Same uncertainty. Hours passed. Nothing changed. By the afternoon, something inside me started shifting. Not in a good way. Not about the situation, about myself. What if I can't fix this? What if this is where it starts going wrong? What if everything I built wasn't real? Those thoughts, they don't come all at once. They build slowly. Quietly. Until they start sounding like truth. I leaned back in my chair, closed my eyes, and for a moment, I wasn't in that apartment anymore. I was back at the beginning. First days in America. Struggling. Lost. Trying to figure everything out. And the worst part was, it felt like I was going backwards. Like everything I worked for had been temporary, a phase, not progress. That thought hit hard. Because if that was true, then what was the point of all that effort? All those long days, all those sacrifices, all that discipline. For what? To end up back in the same place? I stood up, started pacing back and forth, trying to release something. Anything. But there was nowhere for that energy to go. Because the problem wasn't physical. It was internal. Pressure. Fear. Uncertainty. All at once. That's when I felt it. Something I had been holding back. Frustration. Real frustration. Not the quiet kind. The kind that builds over time. And finally, Brakes. I hit the table. Not hard enough to damage anything, but enough to release something. Why is this happening? I said out loud. No answer came. Of course not. But sometimes, you need to say it anyway. I stood there, breathing heavier, feeling everything at once. And then it shifted again, from frustration to something deeper, stillness. I sat down. Slowly. Looked around the apartment. Really looked this time. The bed I bought, the table, the lamp, everything that once felt like progress. And I realized something. None of this was the real win. It was just the result of it. The real win was who I became to get here. That thought came quietly, but it stayed. Because for the first time since everything fell apart, I wasn't just looking at what I lost. I was looking at what I had built inside. Discipline, consistency, work ethic, resilience, all. The things that got me from nothing to something. And if I built that once, I could build again. That realization didn't fix my situation. It didn't bring money back. It didn't solve my problems. But it changed something more important. My perspective. Because up until that moment, I was thinking like someone who lost everything. But in reality, I was someone who knew how to build. And that's different. Very different. I leaned forward, put my hands together, and asked myself a different question. Not why is this happening, but what do I do now? That question, it creates movement because it focuses on action. Not emotion. I opened my laptop again, but this time, differently. Not desperate, not reactive. Intentional. I reviewed everything. My skills. My experience. What I knew how to do. What I had learned. And something became clear. I had been relying on one source. One job, one path. And when it disappeared, everything collapsed. That was the real problem. Not just losing the job, depending on it completely. That's when the idea started forming. Slowly. Not fully clear yet, but present. I didn't need to go back to the same system. At least not in the same way. I could rebuild differently. Stronger. Smarter. With more control. It wasn't easy to think like that. Because fear was still there. Strong. Real. But now, it wasn't the only thing in the room. There was something else. Clarity. And clarity gives direction. That night, I didn't feel better, but I felt different. Less lost, less reactive, more aware. The next morning, I woke up with a decision. Not a perfect plan, but a direction. I would still look for a job. Of course, I needed income, but I wouldn't stop there. I would start building something of my own, even if it was small, even if it took time, even if it felt uncertain. Because I couldn't go back to depending on one thing again. Not after this. That was the real lesson. And I learned it the hard way. In 1 week, I lost everything I thought meant success. But in that same week, I discovered something more important. Something no one could take from me. The ability to start again. The next few weeks were nothing like the life I had before. There was no routine anymore. No fixed schedule. No guaranteed paycheck waiting at the end of the week. Just uncertainty. And a decision I had made. Rebuild. Not just what I lost, but how I lived. I still applied for jobs every day. That didn't stop. I needed something to stabilize my situation. But at the same time, I started doing something different. Something I had never taken seriously before. I started building for myself. At first, it felt strange. Unstructured. Uncertain. No one telling me what to do. No clear system. Just me, figuring things out. And honestly, it was uncomfortable. Because when you've spent years following a structure, creating your own feels chaotic. But I stayed with it. Every day, I gave time to it. Even when I didn't feel like it. Even when doubt came back. Even when fear tried to pull me back into survival mode. Because I understood something now. If I stopped, I would just repeat the same cycle. And I couldn't go back to that. Not after everything I had felt. Days turned into weeks. Progress was slow. Very slow. There were moments I questioned everything again. Is this even working? Am I wasting time? What if this fails too? Those thoughts didn't disappear. They just became something I learned to move through, instead of stopping. And that's what made the difference. Consistency. Not perfection. Not confidence. Just showing up. Then something happened. Small. But real. A result. Not big, not life-changing, but enough to prove something important, that this path had potential. I remember that moment clearly, because it felt familiar. Not the situation. The feeling. It was the same feeling I had when I first moved into that apartment. That quiet thought, this is working, not fully, not yet, but enough. And that's all I needed. From that point on, things started building. Slowly. Step by step. More results, more opportunities. More confidence. Not from thinking, but from doing. And something inside me changed again. I stopped seeing myself as someone who lost everything and started seeing myself as someone who was rebuilding, stronger. Because this time, I wasn't starting from zero. I was starting from experience. From lessons, from mistakes. From awareness. And that makes a difference, a big one. Months later, my situation looked completely different. Not perfect, but stable again. Income coming from more than one place. Control over my time. Less fear of losing everything overnight. Because I had built something that didn't depend on just one thing. That was the real win. Not money. Not status. Control. The kind of control that comes from understanding how to build your life, instead of just reacting to it. One day, I found myself standing in a new apartment. Not bigger. Not more expensive, but different. Because this time, I didn't see it as I made it. I saw it as part of the process, not the destination. Because I understood something now. There is no final point where everything is secure forever. There's only your ability to adapt. To rebuild. To keep going. And that's what gives you real stability. I stood there for a moment, looking around, remembering the version of me who once believed that having a job and an apartment meant I had made it. And I almost smiled, because I understood him. He wasn't wrong. He just didn't know yet that real success isn't what you have. It's what you can rebuild if you lose it. I lost everything in 1 week. Job. Stability. Certainty. Everything I thought defined my progress. And at the time, it felt like failure, like everything had fallen apart. But looking back now, that week didn't destroy my life. It revealed it. It showed me where I was dependent, where I was vulnerable, where I needed to grow. And without that moment, I would still be living the same cycle, thinking I was safe when I wasn't. So if you're in a place right now where everything feels like it's falling apart, listen carefully, because this matters. You're not just losing something, you're being shown something about your life, about your structure. About yourself. And it's painful, uncomfortable, unfair sometimes, but it's also an opportunity. To rebuild differently. Stronger. With more awareness. More control, more intention. Because at the end of the day, everything external can be taken from you. Job. Money. Stability. All of it. But what you build inside, your mindset, your discipline, your ability to start again, that stays. And that's what really matters. I thought I had made it in America. Until I lost everything in 1 week. And somehow, that was the moment I actually started building a life that couldn't collapse the same way again.